episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name because once upon a time this was one of CPU's very first covered shows, both on the blog and on the podcast, and now our coverage is almost done and it's bittersweet, like Regina's erstwhile apples. Oh, and branding and stuff. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including, but not limited to, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, The Vampire Diaries, The Good Place, Grace and Frankie, Game of Thrones, Broadchurch, Stranger Things, iZombie, Fuller House, American Horror Story, Doctor Who, Supernatural, The X-Files, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Gotham, New Girl, and the 4 shows of the Arrowverse on the CW. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for a series of unfortunate events, 13 Reasons Why, Orange is the New Black, and the Marvel's Defenders panel will talk Season 3 of Daredevil. We'll be launching new panels covering Westworld, Arrested Development, Jane the Virgin, and The Americans. And because we look back at shows now past, I promise you, listener, it is really coming. We'll be looking back at one of our most popularly requested panels of all time, which is Friends, coming soon. By the way, did you know that CPU also from time to time goes live? We've been live from bunkers and comedy shows, and we just went live for the 3rd time from Grand Rapids Comic-Con. Plus, we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff. So make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear your show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we always seek new panelists. So if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback. Just keep all of your memory-altering curses to yourselves already. We'll stick with fairy tale realness, thanks. Today, we're around the water cooler and discussing the second half of Season 7 of Once Upon a Time, which aired for 7 total seasons from 2011 to 2018 on ABC. The series finale aired on May 18, 2018. This episode represents the first of our 2-part goodbye miniseries in which we bid the end, or happy endings, beginnings, and or second chances, to the fractured fairy tale that gave us all a little repurposed Disney magic. Once Upon a Time is an American fantasy drama series that follows various fairy tale characters who were transported to the real world and robbed of their original memories by a powerful curse. The first 6 seasons were largely set in the fictitious seaside town of Storybrooke, Maine, with Emma Swan as the lead character, while the 7th season took place in a Seattle, Washington neighborhood called Hyperion Heights, with a new main narrative led by an adult Henry Mills, played by Andrew J. West. In the 7th season reboot, Henry, along with Regina, played by Lana Parrilla, Captain Hook, played by Colin O'Donoghue, and Rumpelstiltskin, played by Robert Carlyle, are found years later in the Seattle neighborhood of Hyperion Heights, where characters from a different realm are brought under a new curse. Hoping to restore her family's memories, Lucy, played by Allison Fernandez, must convince her parents, Henry and Cinderella, played by Dania Ramirez, of the true nature of Hyperion Heights in the midst of emerging dangers involving Lady Tremaine, played by Gabrielle Anwar, and Mother Gothel, played by Emma Booth. Episodes usually have one segment that details the characters' past lives that, when serialized, adds a piece to the puzzle about the characters and their connection to the events that preceded the curse and its consequences. The other, set in the present day, follows a similar pattern with a different outcome, but also offers similar insights. Once again, our esteemed group of Once panelists have returned for one of 2 final recordings to recap the second half of what is now the final season of Once Upon a Time, namely Season 7. Thus, Kristen, Amy, Emily, Micah, and Eddie are eager and raring to talk about the remainder of this softly rebooted final season. Of course, before we do, I'm going to take a moment to take our panel's temperature because, as we all know, sometimes a TV show can take turns for the better, or the worse in our heads, or could continue its level of awesomeness or lack thereof depending upon its story evolution. As always, it should be noted that all of our panelists have viewed the entire show to date and may discuss sensitive plot points. So, for those of you who are not caught up on Once Upon a Time, listen at your own risk, as there are definitely going to be major spoilers. Welcome back, panel. How are you?
Great. Hi. Excited.
Are you ready to talk about the second half of the final season of Once Upon a Time?
Yes. Let's do it.
They say with only a small smidge of emotion. Don't worry. It's coming, people. So, of course, I'm going to gauge your temperature now as of the end of the series, specifically with respect to the second half of Season 7 through the standard CPU character question, which changes with each show we do. And it goes like this for Once Upon a Time. Some of these are tweaked, but actually I didn't tweak a whole lot because they didn't tweak a whole lot for once. Alright, here it goes. You just love the story and all of its unpredictability and all of its characters. Maybe the main character slightly more, like a good author or writer would. Also, you relate to most of the characters and stories. After all, you'll always have the heart of the truest believer, like Henry. Do you love this show and its rebooted concept, even though you know that what you're watching isn't quite right or even what you should be watching? You know, however, in your heart, that this show can be good again if the fans only believed like you did, like Lucy. Did you want it to be good because you want to be good? You believe all things should be given second or third or fourth chances, at least regarding your own potential redemption, like Wish Realm Hook, aka Detective Rogers. Did you like the show? You thought the show solidly rebooted itself, especially with all of the changes, and you're prepared to fight for your second chance in show enjoyment without being bowled over by the parts that leave you feeling that you don't like yourself for watching and loving it. Because if nothing else, you watch because you want to see appearances of the old characters you love again, especially Belle, like Rumpelstiltskin, aka Detective Weaver. Did you reluctantly like the show in its rebooted form? Some of the show's latest twists caught you by surprise, and so you reluctantly kept watching, but you also saw some massive flaws in some recycled storytelling, particularly when it comes to casting curses and protecting Henry, like Regina, aka Ronnie. Did you think watching the show in its rebooted form was a big risk, but you were either ready to dive into the deep end like Queen Tiana, aka Sabine, or had to be talked into it like Cinderella, aka Jacinda, because first, all of your friends and family watch it and you want to keep talking about it with them, and second, the risk paid off and you enjoyed it in spite of yourself. You didn't know what you were watching. You'd convinced yourself to keep watching because you felt obligated by your podcast producer to do so, or because you really cared about the fate of only one or two characters, and so you persevered for the sake of these characters, which are like family to you, like Ivy Belfry, aka Drizella, the wicked stepsister. Did you hate watch it, or didn't want to watch it anymore because you felt you were burned, ultimately, especially by the show's creative team, and you're ready to seek your revenge, like Nick, aka Jack, aka spoiler, Hansel? Or did you hate it, or will you hate it forever because you think it's evil, rehashed, and simply not as awesome as you? Plus, you feel that non-magical beings are a blight to this earth, despite your secret yearning to be just like them, like Mother Gothel, aka Eloise Gardner. Who would like to start?
Hi! This is Eddie.
Hi, Eddie.
It's so nice to be back.
Well, welcome.
No shocker here. Still Regina.
That's who you were last time. You've been Regina like maybe 3/4 of the time we've done this podcast.
I think the only time I switched, I might have been Emma.
You were.
Yeah.
Maybe, because I was almost about to jump ship or whatever. Yeah, definitely Regina. I was really surprised with this season. I think I went into it wanting to hate it, and it gave me kind of the spark that I first had with the whole series. However, it did what the show has always traditionally done. It lost its potential.
Hashtag potential. Hashtag dream.
And towards the end, I reluctantly just had to keep watching to get through it because I wanted to see how they were going to end it. But I was pretty surprised. Yeah, and Regina still was my favorite character until the end, and she will be for all time.
Fair enough. Welcome back, Eddie.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Hello.
Hi.
So last time I was 3 people.
That's pretty much how it goes.
That's par for the course with me. I'm at least 2. Last time I was Lucy, who liked the show and the rebooted concept. Rumple. What was Rumple? Oh, it solidly rebooted itself, because he gets all the reboots in his life. And then Regina. This time, if we're just talking the second half of the season, not the season as a whole, I'm still going to go with Lucy. I'm only going to pick one. It's a weird trend that I'm doing lately.
I'm dying over here.
It's shall pass. I promise. I did like the second half of the season. The first, I think like 3 or 4 episodes, like it started on a high and then it was kind of like, this is boring. I'm kind of done. Really? They're doing this again? Then once they got the news, oh, hey, we're going to end this now. And it was an immediate switch in the storytelling where things got real interesting and started to wrap up. Well, I'll talk more about that later. So I ended up really liking it. And I, got a little emotional towards the end because I've watched the show since it premiered. Like literally the night it premiered, I was sitting in front of my TV watching it.
I feel like all of us
So
I binged.
Yeah.
I ended up
for the podcast, it was supposed to say yes.
Yeah. It's not true. It's not true.
You know what though? I think anybody can jump on Couch Potatoes even if they binge or they watch it from the from the beginning, including the panelists.
Yep. Or if you binge the last 12 episodes in under 24 hours. Like I did.
True story.
Because I didn't want it to end. I was putting off watching it until we literally had 24 hours to go.
Okay, I did that for 7A. I watched all the way until we recorded this.
I literally stopped watching about 5 minutes ago, people. I just ended it.
She's not kidding.
I am fresh. I am ready to talk 7B.
So do you need a hug? Are you doing okay?
I'm doing okay. We will get there of what really
She's
got
more
me.
knowledgeable than all of us.
Nobody hasn't processed it emotionally, any of it really.
Thank you, Kylie. I'm glad to be back.
Let me try that again. Welcome back, Kristen.
Thanks, Kylie.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
I was teetering between just one person and multiple people as well, like Kristen. But I think I am going to pick multiple people. The first person definitely being Lucy. I loved the reboot, and I knew that it wasn't exactly the same. They were rehashing some stuff. I didn't care. I loved it all. Because it's still entertaining and it's still something I could watch and get engaged in. So that also, I feel like that also makes me Wish Realm hook in a way because I wanted it to be good and I was rooting for it. So I'm gonna stick with those 2 people.
Welcome back, Amy.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Emily.
Hi,
I'm
Emily.
back. I think this time I'm gonna go with a little bit of Henry and some Jacinda.
Well, that's quite a range.
Wow.
Their true love
Yeah.
meant to be.
Yeah. Well, I think so Henry, I really do just love the show and I loved the unpredictability of it. I think the last half of the season was really solid. It really ended on a high note. And then with Jacinda, we had to keep watching it and keep talking about it, but I definitely, the risk paid off. It was good. It ended really well, and I really enjoyed it, and so I'm glad we're here. It's the end.
Okay. Welcome back, Emily.
And last but not least.
You're not technically last, but okay.
And second to last. And hopefully not second to least.
Debatable.
This is Micah, back again.
Nice.
Okay, we'll do another podcast on that.
What's your name?
I'm Micah.
Hi,
I'm going to do a
Micah.
podcast about the panel.
Hashtag too spicy.
Last time I was a mix of Henry and Detective Rogers, and I think a lot of the reticence that comes with Detective Rogers' description was because of all the setting up they were doing, because they were throwing, it was kind of like, they kind of really got back to their lost roots where they were throwing a lot of information at us that we had nothing that we could do with it. And we're just holding on to all of it, please unpack some of this, and they wouldn't. But with this second half, a lot of that stuff came to fruition in its plot lines, so I wasn't distracted with having to it was all just stuff that would come up and I'm like, that's what that was, and that's what that was. So I got to just sit back and enjoy it. So I'm going 100% all in on Henry.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Micah.
Thank you.
And of course, I'm Kylie, which I've said last time I was Rumple and Regina because those descriptions matched me. I'm still there. I'm still there. I liked the ending. I liked the second half of the second half really a lot. But I'm still... I've been kind of the naysayer since season 6, so I'm sorry if I'm the negative Nelly of the group. But I guess for me it was just harder to fall in love all over again, if you will, for the second time around. Not because I didn't want to. I was actually pretty open-minded about it. And I did enjoy quite a lot of it. And I did enjoy how they ended it. But I also just felt like, well, they had such a great ending already. This is nice, though. There were some really solid ending moments, which we'll get to, which I might actually get emotional about. But everything up until that point was just like, okay, we've done it. And it happened again. And now it's done. But what could have been if they hadn't canceled it? That's something I suppose we can ruminate on. So welcome back to the whole panel. Once upon a time, we're all back together again, because last time this panel had to record twice because of epic equipment failure, 2018. So there was this. I hope you listened to the Newlywed panel episode. You guys didn't do so well. The two people that knew each other the best were Eddie and Emily. Y'all got that right. Everybody else was like, no. So I highly encourage you to listen to it. It's hilarious. So what'd you think of season 7B, guys?
It was long. I feel like it was long. Like what Kristen said, I feel like it started off on a good point and then it just got very, very slow.
Yeah, within like two episodes of the mid-season, it got real slow.
They got the their contract ended. They're like, we're gonna cancel it, and they went, oh crap. Okay, let's do something. And
yeah, they started wrapping up some storylines real neatly and really quick. The one thing that was kind of confusing for me, just jumping right into things, was the villain switching. There was a lot of villain switching.
Oh my God, yeah.
That was like, wait, but I thought Victoria Belfry was the villain, and then we got Mother Gothel. Okay, so then Victoria's dead, so now it's just Mother Gothel. No, wait, now there's a serial killer. Okay, that's going to get wrapped up. Now we have Dr. Facil. What is going on? I don't know. That was too much too quick. So I think they must have been going more places with Dr. Facilier. Maybe he was going to be the bad leading into next season.
I think I got too deep on that because I took it as there was no true villain of the whole season, that literally everybody was their own villain. Like Henry was against himself, Lucy was against her own self.
Like self-sabotaging, you mean?
Yes. Like there was really no true
I think that's a really good point. I don't know that that's what they were going for, but I feel like...
It sounds good.
I mean, maybe, but I just feel like maybe in their haste it wasn't that deep. But the fact that you can still feel that way is a testament to what the foundation and the storytelling and the layers that they've had for the past 7 seasons.
Because for me, I thought Mother Gothel was like a villain very, very, very strongly until we started diving into her story,
which was awesome,
which was amazing.
I was not expecting her story.
Nope.
And so
but it was interesting.
It was. And after we got her story, I was like, okay, now I like her. She can't be the villain. So it was.
She's a pretty wood nymph who just wants to be like us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she wants the best of both.
So that's where I came up with that concept.
She wants to kill all humans. So
it's
being human is really not.
Girl poured mud on her, and now she wants to kill all humans.
Which, was that not very Carrie-like?
It was very
Carrie-like, yeah.
Instead of telekinesis, she's rooted to the source of all life on the planet. So,
yep.
No.
She made it to
her roots.
Her roots. When she made the big roots come out and kill people. That's
wow.
But no, you were in luck because she wasn't the villain, because we still had Wish Realm Rumpel as the final villain.
Oh my God. Which made sense that Rumpel was the ultimate villain in the end.
Yeah.
But he was also the ultimate hero.
I know, which blew my mind.
I know.
That was my favorite part of the season.
That was,
yeah.
I literally stopped watching that and was like, rewind.
I was watching this 15 minutes ago, so I'm sitting here with my phone. I'm like, wait, guys, real Rumpel just ripped out his heart. What's going on? Oh my God.
You did. We're like, oh, she's near the end.
But how did we get there, listeners? Let's jump back.
Let's take you back to a time in Hyperion Heights.
Thanks, DJ Micah.
No problem.
I say Micah gives us the recap in that voice.
Oh, right. And
if you want to take a coffee break. No, just kind of saying before we dive into our sequential trudge through the elements. One of the things that
don't make it sound like that.
It's a happy trudge.
Yes,
it's a happy trudge.
Any other word would do.
It's a conquerous march. As the Scottish armies to Dunsinane, we shall delve into... Yeah, no. One of the things that I kind of didn't notice until it was pointed out to me by the videos that I recommended to you that I would
they were so great.
plug in solidarity,
She was
but I
so
forgot the name of
annoying.
the videos. Oh, wow. You, Kylie, have had your misgivings about the actress playing Cinderella since literally moment one, scene one. Never really a big fan of the style that you brought to it, and I kind of just thought that was like a stylistic thing. But the chemistry between her and who plays Henry?
Andrew J. West.
Andrew J. West. It wasn't not there, but it wasn't as there as it could have been.
Agreed.
So, when they hinted at maybe an Ivy Henry thing, I was like, oh yeah! That'd be great. I was so excited.
Did you just become the Kool-Aid Man?
He did. Through that wall, man.
All your millennial listeners, well, the millennial listeners might get that reference, but any
Accennial.
Zennials. Yeah, no, I was very excited about that. There was also some hinting at maybe a Detective Rogers Sabine thing, and I was like, I love all of that, but no. They took it away.
When did they hint that? Because Prince Naveen came in pretty early on in this half.
Yeah,
No, but
I was
they
never
did
a big
though.
fan of
But
They
their
did.
interactions were very.
They had a little
more-
something.
I just said
Yeah.
when. I didn't say it didn't happen.
Well, I can't.
You gotta
No.
pay attention to the body language.
That's a lot.
I mean, there wasn't like definitive episode that says like this is when they. It was just kind of.
They had
yeah.
chemistry, but her
Yeah, and
to
she
be
was
that
even
history.
like a little flirty. And
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, anything for my favorite detective. And it's like,
Yeah.
damn, honey.
I'm the only
Oh,
detective.
yeah. When he came to pick up Alice when she
Yeah.
was working there that
Yeah.
day.
Yep.
Oh,
And making
Yes.
weird shaped beignets.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
But
got it.
man, is he good looking.
Oh,
I will never not. Colin O'Donoghue.
oh yeah.
Look.
Oh, please.
He's
Yeah, but you know what?
I'm
When
on
in
that
life
part
do we
too.
not get a
He was
little
saying-
flirty, but then nothing happens? Like I kind of liked it. I didn't
I
mind
did
it.
too.
Kept me
Well, I
guessing. It
gotta
was
stress
interesting.
the flirtation.
never-
yeah,
Yeah.
muscle,
I have
but-
not been a Hook fan this whole entire time we've had.
Really? See, I loved it.
Hold on,
because of the
I'm
whole-
saying I haven't thought he was good looking, but
Oh.
but this season they might have added some
How did you
extra
like his
makeup.
character?
See,
When he came out as the detective, it could have been the badge. I was like, yeah.
Man,
I
he
don't know
is
how they think for
cool.
leather. Maybe it was just the regular clothing. I don't know.
see, the whole like fatherly aspect is like
That's
what
probably
really
off base,
got
isn't
me.
it?
Like,
Yes, maybe that's what it is.
yeah.
Oh, maybe.
With
Just wanna
Alice,
see the
Daddies?
nurturing
That's what
side.
yes, Daddy.
Wait, Allie is one of my favorite parts.
It was a good arc.
When she wanted to hug her dad, I was like, she can't hug her dad. She's gonna kill him. So sad.
She's gonna hug him to death.
Actually,
Literally.
Alice was my favorite new character.
She was
even though my
wonderful.
brain, she was wonderful. I loved her whole dynamic
Yes.
with Hook. I thought her chemistry with Colin O'Donoghue was great.
Amazing.
You're gonna be so mad at me. I loved her. She was my favorite character, but did like once in Wonderland, like did we like
we
laugh
said
about it and like
last time. You
Okay.
got an explanation?
like
Hashtag Micah Rant, go.
Yeah, Michael Jackson. Yeah.
To the best of my estimation, I think that when they were saying that, oh, it turns out these stories exist, like there's alternate versions of them, I don't think that necessarily means other timelines or even realms. I just think, like, plot lines play themselves out in our regular everyday lives very similarly. You may go through something that you think is super unique, but then you talk to somebody like, I was abused by my stepmother too. She made me
That
clean
went dark.
everything.
That got real
Cinderella was not a happy story.
But it also plays on the fact too that there's a version of Cinderella in almost every single culture out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, and
I
it's just-
understand
So
that's
they
what
decided
they
to do the Latino version for the last season? Like, I'm so confused.
It was a
I think
multiracial
so,
family.
yeah.
There was actually a lot going on
Yeah,
with
they
that
really
family.
tried to play up the
That was most of
diversity
the
in
backstory.
general in this season. I think. I
Yeah.
think they realized how much it was lacking.
I do have to say I got
Tried to
real
course
confused
correct.
though, because once again, I'm pretty sure it was like the last episode at the inauguration. Didn't we see the original Cinderella like at the crowd?
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
No, you did. You saw a lot of the original characters that we grew up with, quote unquote, if you will, the ones from season 1 and beyond.
Could you imagine
But
that
then-
interaction?
well,
I
I mean,
am Cinderella.
But there's also 2 Hooks there, and there were 2 Henrys.
But that
there.
was a wish realm Hook and a
so
Hook
I
and a
know
wish
it's,
realm
I know it's
Henry
a
and
wish realm,
Henry.
but it just shows you can, yeah.
Well,
It's a similar.
There's Enchanted Forest, Cinderella, and then there's the new Enchanted Forest, Cinderella.
See, but
Yeah.
okay.
Bother
Well,
me.
my
If
thing with that,
if that works for you, that's great. But my brain did not logic
you?
that.
I
away.
thought it was weird, but because it wasn't like a big thing. We didn't like talk to old Cinderella at all. I was like, whatever. It's just like a little nod to the original.
I mean, the flyover at the end was weird too. To see everything all together, and like that doesn't work. But whatever, sure.
Well, if they had built the concept of that there's many realms and some of the realms are similar to the current realm, and maybe the enchanted forest that Henry went on his motorcycle where there's no gas.
The new enchanted forest.
Magic motorcycle.
Yes, very magic motorcycle. Where he went was something that was similar but slightly different, and they just took some time to explain that. I probably would have been okay.
You kind of need to think of it like the multiverse from DC.
Yeah, but they didn't explain it that way. Also, there's only so much suspension disbelief I can do without having some kind of like storytelling involved.
Well, my big non-issue with it is saying that two people can't be from the same forest, both named Cinderella, is like saying two people from the same town can't be named Steve.
With the same story.
Like I said, they repeat themselves.
My issue is that we had so many varieties of realms throughout all 7 seasons that were never like really closed up neatly or really explained well. It was just like, we need somewhere else to go. Let's just throw another realm into here. So I think that's like part of the issue that I have too. But because they kind of just were like, we're just saying bye to everybody, that was why I was okay with Cinderella like just being there.
Yeah, the Ashley Cinderella and the Jacinda Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
She also never, no hate to Shram who played her, but I was never like, I'm so invested in this Cinderella. For all your misgivings about Jacinda, she did have her own non-Henry related character development stuff that I found compelling.
Which was nice.
Her arc with her stepmother and all that, I think, was a much better wrap-up of a Cinderella story than the one we got.
Quite honestly, if they'd introduced the Jacinda Cinderella first and kept with that Cinderella, I would have been fine. If they continued with Jessie Schramm's Cinderella, I would have been fine. The fact that they put the two together from the same place with the same name with the same story, no. That's not... Their stories are maybe slightly different. They're not actually different stories. And I get that there are different versions of the same story, but I don't think they actually depicted that in the way they meant it.
Well,
that's the problem that I have.
Does it seem like an afterthought?
Pretty
in a way?
much.
Like not, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we should have a person of color play this and do this version of the story.
It felt very, very forced, and which I don't mind. I don't care who plays what. But that's what it felt like.
And just the fact that Cinderella was literally the only other person that we have, a double of, essentially. Obviously there's the different realm versions of everybody, but,
We did have, a minute of Hansel and Gretel in season 1.
We did. Which was also confusing.
But it was, but it was because, was it Maleficent, that witch? Was that the tie-in?
No,
she was blind.
Originally, the blind witch
was played by Emma Caulfield.
Yeah, she was the Hansel and Gretel witch for the first 6 seasons. Mm-hmm. But then in this one, we even had another blind baking witch.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
that's in Oz. Because they were definitely in Oz.
Yep.
That's why Zelina wanted her gone. That story I didn't even mind so much because the Hansel and Gretel continuation was something we'd never seen before.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, Nick/Jack/Hansel was one of the coolest things.
I thought that was so cool.
It was a very good
And Eddie Oliver.
He loves Nick. Everybody said he loves Hook. Only Emily said, no, I think he loves Nick. She's right.
Then you should definitely watch the originals because you get a nice heaping helping of that.
Yes, he's in the originals, which has a lot of hot men.
He's going to his phone right
I know, right?
That's another podcast, which we already have done. Anyway, so that's fine. There are things that I like and things that I don't. But I agree that the Hansel and Gretel piece of it was actually really great. I agree that the Rumpel part of it was phenomenal. That was the best part. In fact, the fact that he had to sacrifice himself, this is jumping to the end, we can go back, with his own magic to save everybody with a purely unselfish thought was amazing.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that he originally took Hook's hand, but now he gave him his harness.
I know. Yeah. I did cry.
Well, and especially when he said, "You're the closest thing I've ever had to a friend," I'm just like, oh my gosh. I couldn't handle it. It was so pretty. Yeah. It wasn't beautiful. It was just very pretty.
It was so pretty.
It was so pretty.
And then he got his happy ending.
He did. Mm-hmm. They all did.
You can't stop the afterlife. That's what the finale also proved, is that, oh, you think you're a bad person, you can't go to whatever awaits you? Wrong, here's your wife. And I was like, oh, Regina, you're getting ready to do things. Boom, here's someone who was literally wiped from existence. But he can come back and give you a feather. He can make a feather exist. Her heart can make feathers?
She's magic,
it's Regina. She can do whatever she wants.
She's magic.
I suspended disbelief.
I did too. I liked the parade of guest stars, and having Robin Hood come back needed to happen. Because that is a loss I will never get over.
That one is the one I'm still so mad about.
Stuck on
because
that
one. they moved him up to a full time.
And then killed him for no reason.
They brought everybody else back in some way or shape or form, and he's dead, but he's not really dead or whatever, except for him.
Yeah,
it's like,
come
on!
They a series regular, and then they killed him off. I was so mad.
Yeah.
That was like our biggest hashtag potential was when they were like, they could bring him back. They're gonna bring him back because he's a series regular now.
Yeah.
They brought a Robin.
I digress.
They brought a. You don't have that Robin. Would you take another Robin?
Speaking of Robin, how about Robin and Alice?
Loved it.
I like them as
a
duo. I don't know what it is about the actress that plays Robin and also Polly in Riverdale, but I don't know.
I did not know
her
that.
acting style is just something is weird to me, and
so my Jacinda thing is kind of similar to your Robin thing.
Yeah, definitely not deer in the headlights as you say, Jacinda.
I can't help it. She's very white-eyed.
I don't know.
She is.
Yeah.
Thank
Very
you.
true.
But also, I think it was a bit of a weird jump back when we had the flashback sequence where she was learning magic instead, and then at the end of all of that hubbub with that was Mr. Samdi, wasn't it? Dr. Facilier was the one that was trying to teach her, or was it Gothel?
No, it was Gothel.
Gothel. After that thing wrapped up, she was like, I'm just gonna shoot arrows now. Like, nobody just stops using magic.
It's because, she realized that Goth was only training her so she could be a sacrifice to bring back Madame Leota from the Haunted Mansion. And
Cool reference.
Disney theme park nerd here. So the fact that all of Madame Leota's dialogue was literally ripped from the script of the Haunted Mansion made me squeal like a fangirl, and I was super excited.
Whereas I went random, and I don't have her on Disney's Emoji Blitz yet, so I'm mad.
No, I thought that was a really fun. I actually gasped when I saw that it was Madame Leota, and the fact that they did her so truthfully. My heart was so happy. Can't even explain it. It was just a wonderful little Easter egg for me.
They did a lot of those.
Like
Maui.
Yeah.
Ding.
Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Maui's
Everyone
hook.
drink when Kristen cries.
Let me talk about Maui's hook.
What the heck? Why?
Don't throw shade
No.
on Maui. Here's what Maui's fishhook was. Maui's fishhook was how you should have handled brand new Disney prop. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it again.
Yes!
All roads lead back to Arendelle.
Biggest mistake ever.
They were like, hey, we just released Moana. Let's
It's
not
a hot
add Moana
property.
in there. Or even Maui. Let's just add an item. And it's literally a fishhook that was crafted by gods of the highest order, so I understand it's a magical.
Okay,
no,
it was crafted by the gods. Used by a demigod.
Step out of my arena.
Hashtag Micah's rant. Hashtag calm.
Hashtag Micah's coconut.
You need to edit just Micah's rant and put a special
It's our
reel
new
on.
hashtag. Drink when you hear Micah's rant.
Micah rants, Kristen cries, Eddie squeals for and hashtag. But no. What I saw that in that was them learning from the Frozen mistake, because I would not have minded if they were like, it's that glove from Frozen, and you can use it, Emma, to freeze the whatever is the villain, since we're not doing Frozen.
Harness your power.
Yeah, but no, they were like, it's Frozen. We're doing it full on. We're literally going to turn the town into an inescapable
Elsa
Frozen
need to be
paradise.
We literally mentioned Frozen
Every single.
It still upsets us.
Hashtag, you made a mistake when.
Yeah.
That's a big hashtag.
And they still included it in the overarching series flashback at the end. All the highlights. I'm like, really? I was fine until you put Frozen in there.
Yeah.
You know she can make winter for everybody now, right? You just ruined that.
Yeah. Because now Arendelle's in Maine. Thank you very much.
But I thought Maui's hook was fairly tasteful, though, considering the
was a nice
mistake
little
that they've made in the past.
Really?
It was really random.
What's the point? Why are you bringing in another property at the 11th hour? Oh, it's to get them out of the snow globe.
Well, they also needed a Deus Ex. It would have been something.
Deus Ex Machina. That sounds a little like Deus Ex.
Anybody
Thank you for the
confused, like,
clarity.
I'm just saying.
And Alice just happened to use her magic to shove it into the
Talk
snow globe
about
to
Alice's
bother.
magic.
Let's talk about it.
What? She just, from the way that they conveyed it to me, it was not that the troll existed and she somehow called to it.
No, she
psychically.
made the
She
troll.
made it.
She wished it into existence.
She
What?
made the troll.
On her birthday in the town.
Okay, everybody's
because
got
she was lonely and
birthdays.
she wanted an
She
escape.
is Goffel's daughter.
Yeah.
So she's half wood nymph.
With magic.
But it was the fact that there wasn't really any other manifestation. Like with any other
Really, the
characters
troll
who
scene
used...
didn't, like...
Except for the part about her being the guardian.
Yeah.
Which we still, that may have ended, but they never started the Guardian. They just acted like we came in halfway through like we should have known. Like, oh yeah, the Guardian from season whatever. Yeah,
but it's because
it
Belle
was just out of
mentioned it at
nowhere.
the beginning. Belle and Rumble, in her episode, the Rumple sent was like episode 4, I think, if I remember correctly, which is
It was
weird.
a lovely episode.
That was
Whatever.
the up sequence.
It's, like at the
Tearjerker
very, very
episode.
beginning of season
With some
7.
Narnia aspects.
Little
to
Narnia.
it.
Yeah, where he's like, I'm gonna go find the Guardian, and they're gonna take my power so I can be with you, and I'll no longer be evil and immortal. The seed was planted.
Well, my thing was even that. I was like, did you know about that the whole time, and you're just now deciding that you're ready to give it up? Or
It's
Yeah.
because they already
Did you
used
find
the
out about
sorcerer
it?
and the sorcerer's apprentice storyline.
I bought this because I would have believed that Rumple wouldn't A, have cared about the Guardian for a very long time, and B, needed to find that life with Belle to realize what he was missing.
Well, I'm just thinking in terms of the actual, like, the crocodile Rumpelstiltskin. The Guardian was technically a weapon that could be used, because he doesn't have to willingly give up his power. There could be a way with magic to take it. So I was like, why wouldn't you have tried to at least imprison these people who could be
He didn't
the
know who
Guardian
it
or anything
was.
like that?
He figured out it was Alice in this half season. He thought it was Anastasia.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, he had no idea who it was. He just knew it was a somebody.
It was just a lot too soon, and that wasn't the main... I can understand when writers bring in a new element that's only going to take place in one season because that's where the season is going, but even that was I'd say, C-list plot in this whole season.
Well, I mean, let's just be real. Once Upon a Time is always saturated with several plot lines.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's also one of the reasons why I've struggled with it in this particular season, because even though there's a lot of cool elements, new characters, they went for some really heart-wrenching ending points, the fact of the matter is they had 1,000 different storylines again with so many different details.
Mm-hmm. That's why they started wrapping them up real quick.
And fast and afterthought.
Too
So
easy.
Even though this is the ending, I must mention that where's Maleficent? Off finding Lily, found her, and Dad, who is Zorro.
I didn't like that.
That was a WTF moment. I mean, you're seeing a dragon like fly over New Storybrooke, and
That I think was supposed to be
Lily
Maleficent.
found her
Yeah,
dad.
that was Maleficent.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even how would she... I mean, Zorro is the masked bandit. How does that even work?
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm a dragon, but you know what I would rather be? A man with a sword. in an era with guns, but no.
And does
I'm
that
gonna
mean
be a
that
fan.
Zorro is magically in the Enchanted Forest, even though he is actually in Mexico?
She wanted some Latino flavor?
They're like, what Disney property haven't we included
How
yet?
do dragons
Is Zorro
meet?
even Disney?
What?
That's my
It,
question.
it
What'd you
falls
ask?
under the broader Disney canon now, I think.
What?
Oh.
I think because
They own
I
Zorro?
would have preferred some, like, if they had thrown in, like, a Marvel character.
Literally
Yeah,
had it
anyone
been, like,
who's
Star
dirty
Wars.
is a dragon.
Or, like,
Why did
Stormtroopers.
stormtroopers like show up
Her
at the
father is
inauguration?
Emperor Palpatine.
Java the Hutt.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
Oh,
weird.
no.
That's no good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Disney owns the rights to Zorro somewhere in their catalog.
What don't
Otherwise,
they own the
wouldn't have
rights
been
to?
able
They
to
probably
use
own the
it.
rights to us.
I was thinking that. They don't own the rights to DC,
Where's
but they
my
probably
paycheck?
should.
Yeah, with the way Marvel's
That's
going.
another podcast.
Yep.
Oh,
That
yeah.
we already do.
And we talk about frequently.
And complain about. So what about Dr. Facilier? We mentioned him, but
He was
did.
shoehorned.
He was.
He was
was
so. That's
wasted.
why I feel like they
Yeah.
were bringing him in for a larger arc next season.
And the actor was really good.
Yeah,
I
I
loved
loved
him.
I liked him.
Loved him.
I have to say, we have to use our favorite saying, hashtag potential.
Wasted.
Potential
Probably
lost,
because of hashtag cancellation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, because I loved the whole idea of Regina, or of Ronnie and Facilier, too, and they didn't even talk about that all that much.
Well, and it's because they had their backstory in the Enchanted Forest at some point.
He didn't know Ronnie. He knew
Regina. Yeah.
He knew Regina
But it's like,
as
okay,
the evil queen,
Regina
poster
was a
evil
hoe.
queen.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so how did you two meet? How did this thing happen? I want answers. It was just all of a sudden like, hey, ex-boyfriend, let's make out for a second.
Yeah,
I'm with you
what?
on that. I'm with you. It was like,
weird.
there are pockets of information
that are missing.
It's almost like they used to work together on something, and then they all were like, hey, we're working on this together. Let's, together. And like,
Right.
Yeah.
Just because she was good by that point. So how long ago was this? This obviously after Daniel?
I was trying to fill in those pieces. I was like, well, it would be after this, but before this, like, we had never heard of him.
Daniel, but before the dark curse was set.
Well,
It would have to.
didn't he say like it was before she cast the curse?
Yeah.
And then she like
but witch curse.
Right. Fair. And then he also said that she needed something like for her curse from him.
From Facilier?
Yeah, when they were in his apartment and before he like died, right? Yes.
Yeah, it was long before he died.
Right.
He died in the second to last episode.
Right.
Yeah, it was
so
very
like they were
convenient.
talking about that, and it was before Lucy broke in. He's been lurking around for a while. It's just he's been over here.
Yeah, that much I know.
Right.
But
Because he sincerely wants the Dark One dagger, or wanted the Dark One dagger, but knew that Gothel, this is how I took it, now I don't know if it was explained this way, knew that Gothel was the bigger threat, and so he was willing to help Lucy also because that would make Regina happy, willing to help Lucy try to break the curse, but I don't remember...
And also very
What
similar
they-
to
yeah.
Rumple. He like trades and deals.
He
Exactly.
does.
He likes
Well,
doing
just like
things
he
for other
gave
people.
Lucy the piece she was missing to break the curse on Henry, where he would die if the curse was broken.
He did some voodoo magic.
Yeah, he got
Yeah.
the last piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Which was the piece of the glass slipper that Henry had.
Yeah, that he found that completed Jacinda's part that she had.
Right.
I think it's partially due to another case of the afterthought thing where, because beyond the Huntsman, we never see any other romantic anything with Regina before she turns good. Like, she had a relationship with Robin, obviously, when she was already good. She was having extracurricular time with Huntsman,
Oh,
He was
Sheriff,
only
Sheriff
one.
Skinny Jeans.
Sheriff
And
Shannon.
I miss him.
50 Shades.
He was skinny
yeah.
before he made it
Look,
big.
And then, of course, Daniel's thing.
Still
But,
is.
I mean, we have a whole set of time before Snow White was like adult Snow. And then all the time where Regina was hunting her. So that's a good amount of years where Regina had to be doing something. And someone, apparently. She might have just, like, made her way around the villain circuit, shopped around, because she did have... Oh, no, I was wrong. We missed one. Rumple. There was the original, like, teacher
so
apprentice
weird.
relationship thing.
That was pandering to people who didn't want to be pandered to.
It's almost like she slept with him so she could pass her class.
Still college.
You never know.
Well, and wasn't he also like in a relationship with her mom when she?
Yeah.
That's so
Definitely.
weird. No, don't
He's
want
got
Even worse, because her mom gave away her heart so she wouldn't fall in love with Rumple.
Yeah.
He's like the ultimate almost stepdad.
Didn't that? That's rough.
This is worse than Skywalker lineage.
Well, I actually did. I don't know if you clicked on it, but in the talking points, I included the Wikipedia link to the list of Once Upon a Time characters, which actually goes through the trouble of detailing all of the
family
interrelationships.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I highly recommend you take a
The
look at it.
Charming Mills family tree is so messy.
It's very convoluted.
Very, very complex.
Speaking of the Charming Mills family tree, we talked a little bit about Henry and Jacinda and Lucy and all of that business. But there's this whole big arc of them trying to break that curse over Henry, and Henry, heart of a truest believer, refusing to believe. What did we think about that?
Cynical millennial.
Fair.
I think technically he's a Zennial. Because remember, this plotline is back in time.
That's
So
right.
he is from our future, but then he got sent back to like where we are now.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's a
I
future
did
because
know-
our present.
No, I agree with this because I did notice that a lot of the music choices and a lot of the pop culture references were like 80s, 90s, more Gen X. And I was like, who's the target audience for this? Like, are they just writing for
And like
themselves?
Jacinda making Henry the mixtape. But
Yes.
but they but he's a Swift driver. So Uber and Lyft. He's a Swift driver, and that's of today. So it really is almost like, the Henry that we grew up with, he would be about 18 now because he was 11 when the show started 7 years ago. So it really is like, Henry went on all these adventures. So now it's like 2028, but he got sent back in time to 2018, 2017, 2018. That's how I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Not that it's back any further because like mixtapes are a thing again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't actually think the mixtape was a clue to anything other than maybe they just had this quirky nostalgia thing where like mixtapes are cool, although we also made, mixed CDs at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying. Before they had their Spotify's.
Now we do the playlist.
So, what about the story around Zelina? We mentioned Hansel and Gretel, but that actually informed a larger story arc to bring back A, Rebecca Mader, who plays Zelina,
Thank
and B, to actually kind of exit her out of the series, if you will, at least until the series finale, wherein we learn that she's engaged to a perfectly normal gentleman named Chad.
a human.
I don't
Straight
like
up
that he's
human
just a
Chad.
human.
I wanted him to be somebody fun.
Yeah.
I know. I'm thinking
thought-
he was someone more.
I thought that Hansel and Gretel's blind father was going to be her.
Oh, that
Yeah.
would have been juicy.
Yeah.
But then, she did the thing where she's being the Wicked Witch and was duplicitous with him, and he didn't want that.
Because
Yeah.
Wicked always wins.
That wasn't
I love
good.
that
I
they
did like
tried in
that
there.
little jump back. That I shipped them for the 5 minutes that it was viable.
I think it was 4.5 minutes. It didn't last very long.
I have quickest relationship
I have to
ever.
say my favorite thing that I liked about Zelina this season, and the other thing that I liked about this season, is that we really saw a lot of relationships with siblings grow in this season, and I really liked that Regina, who is my number one, got to fix her relationship with Zelina.
Yeah.
But I mean, they still kept their roots. I mean, they still secretly hate each other, but it's almost.
I don't think they hate each
No,
other.
but it's not like hate. It's sibling like.
They moved from
It's almost
enemies
like
to
I'm gonna be
rivals.
mad at you forever because you're my sister, but nobody should mess with you.
Right, exactly.
Like that's exactly what it was, and
It's I can mess with you, but
I will
Nobody
destroy
else.
you.
Yeah,
Everybody.
yeah.
and I really like that, and I love the fact that we almost got this vulnerability from Regina in this season where she's the queen. Like she can do whatever she wants, even when she is Regina, even when she is Ronnie. But she literally broke down in front of her sister and was like, I can't do this without you. And I really loved that moment, and I thought it was a really high time for Regina where we're like, oh wow, she's really getting to the point where she's not evil anymore. Because I think it takes a true hero to, at least in my opinion, to admit that you need help.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're not always the one who slays the enemy at the end. It takes an army, and I think she finally realized that she needs an army and she doesn't have to do it on her own.
Well, and back to your earlier point, I mean, one of the things you Eddie, said at the beginning of the recording was that you felt like everybody was kind of their own worst enemy. I don't know that I agree with you, at least in the sense of our three original characters, the Ronnie / Regina, Weaver / Rumple, Hook / Nook.
I love it when she's like, "Yep, come on, Nook," and he's like, "Nook." She's like, "Yeah, new Hook." Kind of like, duh.
Exactly.
Her wit is wonderful. They write her so well.
Yes. I think that with those three characters particularly, what we saw instead of self-sabotage this season, unlike in other seasons, was true moments of growth. Big, gigantic leaps of character growth where they actually integrated everything that was before and then all the stuff that they learned as their Hyperion characters, which actually maybe kind of helped them over the edge, if you will. Get to that good place.
I definitely think Zelina was the most grounded we'd ever seen her, and maybe that's because the absence of magic.
She wasn't.
Yeah.
She was a hippie.
Yeah.
That's about as grounded as you can get without being a wood nymph who's there at the creation of man.
Yeah. But even Zelina before Kelly, was more grounded because she didn't have magic. Then Kelly was super grounded.
What did she taught a cycling class?
Yeah, she was a
Yeah.
cycling
Soul
instructor.
Cycle.
Yeah.
Soul
Cycle.
But that was after she left Hyperion Heights, where she and Ronnie owned the bar together.
Yes.
Because it was Kelly and Ronnie's, and then she left.
That's
and
where
then
they
she became
hid.
Ronnie.
That's where she hid the
Resurrection Amulet.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
thing.
For Anastasia / Lucy / Gothos.
Slash
wasn't-
Madame Leona.
Yeah.
I was not a big fan of Anastasia as like. I mean, she was pretty much just a MacGuffin the first half of the season. We're just like, who has the girl? We must get the girl. You have her, now I will have the girl. Ha ha! And everyone's trying to bring her back to life, but everyone's failing for a long time despite the sheer number of people trying to bring her back to life.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, I didn't really need her in this half of the season.
No.
That's why she made a swift exit.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
sad
They
that
wrapped
Ivy
up the-
exited with her. I could have bore her to have her stay around.
Really, I was done with
I was
it.
done.
I don't
was
not
done.
have a thing for Ivy.
I
You all have your things. You all have your swashbuckling
mean, we
heroes.
could
We
do our
all
own
have.
podcast about who's good looking in this show. But I was just asking because I agree with you.
Yeah,
Not because I like her.
I liked her more later. She was just kind of like a B word with no purpose for being one in the earlier part of the season.
Yeah.
She was
But
just
then
a
we
mean
kind
girl.
of got the backstory and why, and I was like, okay. And then after everything happened with her mom, which for those who don't know, Victoria Belfry pulled the move of the season, which is sacrifice myself for my loved one, and she ends up letting herself be sacrificed to revive Lucy, who had been put to sleep when they revived Anastasia. After all that happened, she sacrificed herself so that Ivy could live, and then Ivy was like, her whole foundation of her life was essentially, I hate my mom.
It was
but then,
shaken.
And that her mom
Yeah.
hates her.
And then her mom hates her, and then all of that was thrown
Yeah.
out the window.
Because her mom apologized in her final moments of, I was so focused on the daughter that I lost that I failed to see the one that was in front of me, she said so emotionally. Not me, the character.
Don't drink, guys. Don't drink.
That was not a Kristen cries, that was the character is crying.
Yeah, you gotta like differentiate.
Sorry, I have one crying voice on this podcast right now.
I will say though, I was pretty happy that Victoria didn't come back. I was half expecting, based on previous seasons, that after they killed her, she was gonna like magically come back, or they were gonna bring her back for some
like
reason.
a previous timeline.
Yeah,
or
so
something.
I was really happy that they actually kept her dead. I was like, okay, like good on you, good on you, show
The death
writers.
stuck this time.
We definitely don't need Wish Realm Victoria.
Right. Well, I was done with. I agree. I was done
That
with
storyline was
Anastasia. I
played.
was done with
Yeah.
Yep.
Tremaine
So, yeah.
slash Rapunzel. Yeah, because I think
because
it wrapped up in the mid-season finale.
Yeah, I feel like there's a
lot.
point where they have to start peeling people away, and
which
then we're
they
like,
did
okay,
very quickly.
and for me, I was okay with that because then it allowed the storyline for me to breathe a bit. Where I was
And
like,
to get
great.
back to the characters, the original characters, then the new
Yep.
original characters.
Yep,
Yeah,
That was
I
the
agree
big failing
completely.
with the first 6 seasons was that they just kept adding on and adding on. There was
And
always
not
no
resolving.
one's story, and everybody was there, but you didn't see them, which was annoying for me because one of the most charming things of this show when I started it
Not the charm.
was not the charmings. I didn't
Yeah.
love them when I first started the show.
I've
That took a
always
while.
hated them.
But the Storybrooke ensemble,
Yeah.
so the dwarves and Geppetto and
And the
Jiminy
and
Cricket
the
and
Blue
the Blue
Fairy.
who never got to do
Also-
anything cool.
Where was the Blue Fairy? She had a storybook from Evil Wish Realm Rumple that they left on the table, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna get the Blue Fairy. No,
Oh yeah,
we're
they
not.
didn't really rescue her, did
No,
they?
they just went up there, and I'm like, but we need the Blue
I'm hoping
Fairy.
that with the elimination of all the Rumples, thanks to Rumpelstiltskin Prime's sacrifice, that those books went away eventually. And
Well, yeah, because that
I
was
hope so.
that was Wish Realm Rumple's magic.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
But still, why show us the book of Blue Fairy if she's not there? What's
I
the
think
point?
it's to
she was there for a
demonstrate-
second.
Was she?
Yeah, but
Did I
she
miss
got
her?
sucked into
No,
the
yeah,
portal.
she was the one who
Yeah.
got sucked into the book.
I missed it.
I think that was.
I was
well,
crying,
I think,
probably.
I think the reason why they did that was to showcase the strength of this curse, because she, from the beginning of the series, was set up as the pinnacle of magic power. Like, there's the dark one, but even he doesn't really mess with her. He kills other fairies, but he won't mess with her.
But then the black fairy killed her. So where did they get this blue fairy from? I don't want to, but she killed her.
Not in love with that whole plot element there.
Did she?
She did.
Good and Dead?
This was according to the recap video I watched, that was Wish Realm Blue Fairy.
Yeah, everything that was in the Enchanted Forest
at the end
was the Wish Realm.
So was it Wish, no, because it wasn't Wish Realm Snow and Charming.
No.
It was real Snow and Charming.
Right, they brought them over.
From Storybook. That's who...
Robin and Alice
of the presence of the past.
With the little band. Then went to the Wish Realm.
Hashtag how you doing, listeners?
Yeah. Really? Are you following?
Right, because all I want to say is going back on what Micah originally said.
I don't even remember.
We always remember. It's fine.
Is that I think the problem with the start of the season is that everybody was followers, and that's the reason why I don't think I liked Ivy from the beginning, is that she just kind of followed along. She did something I think she never thought she had hashtag potential to do, and cast a spell and everything. And I think once we got to the fact that her family finally aligned with each other is when we finally got the roots and she wasn't a follower anymore. I think that's why after episode 2 and 3 we're just like, oh my goodness, nobody knows what they're doing. It literally was like a game of Sims. Like, look, somebody was literally just moving these people around. We didn't know what was going on, and nobody was leading anybody.
That's accurate.
See, so I mean, I just wanted to bounce.
So when we see a Sims version of Once Upon a Time that we can
which
play,
would sell a ton of copies.
I'm not gonna lie, I totally would play.
Totally, but we'd be like, they for sure listen to the podcast,
right?
We are apparently their target market.
We demand a cut.
Yes,
And I said it first, and I have to do it again.
Copyright, all of that, trademark, we got it.
Or can you just bring it back and do it right?
Or can you just do that instead?
Spicy.
We've given you lots of options on how you could have taken advantage of that hashtag potential.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like if they brought it back and just got rid of the Wish Realm entirely, everything would make so much more sense.
But they tied it in so well at the end with
They
Wish
did.
Realm Runkle. It's getting late, people.
It's somebody's uncle with this family. It's someone's uncle.
I binged 11 or 12 hours of Once Upon a Time in 24 hours. So anyway, but because I feel very satisfied by having evil Rumple be the final villain.
Yeah, no,
and
I entirely
the only way they could
agree.
have done that was with Wish Realm Rumple, which I love.
I agree. I think they did wrap it up very well. I was very happy with how they wrapped everything
because
up.
the original villains
tied a nice
became
bow.
the heroes, but yet
Yeah.
they still defeated an original villain, which I love.
Yeah.
And you can only do that in fairy
But there
tale shows.
really was no defeat.
Yeah.
Got his heart and they both died.
I know. Listen, there really was no defeat or no battle. It was his own battle the whole entire time.
Which makes
is
it
fine.
Which actually makes the show have some point to it.
because it's all about hope and love, and original Rumple is sacrificing himself.
So it goes back
to make sure that the darkness, because he said the whole thing, he would find somebody pure of
unselfishly,
heart.
because at that point
Yeah.
he had given up on the idea of ever seeing them
So it just
again.
gets back to the point is you can only write your own story.
Yeah.
Right, that's exactly the whole point.
That's
Your story isn't
Not
written.
lost on any.
Unless you're the author, you can write everybody's story. Because we never gave a shout out to the most underwhelming sidekick evil villain ever, Wish Realm Henry, who no one cares about.
Before we get there, because I was going to use your perfect segue to give a similar shout out to the episode in which we had adult Henry talking to young Henry
That
on
was
his
nice.
graduation
That
day.
And that's how we got
Oh my god, on his
his
graduation day. Oh, that got me.
Yeah.
I loved
and I
it.
love
I
how
loved
he
it too.
triggered his own memory comeback because he's like, I remember that phone call. Oh wait, it was me on the other end.
Let's not
Boom,
get into
memory
cyclical
explosion.
time loops. I still, in any show that I'm watching, I can't understand those. Like, you wouldn't have wanted me on the Flash panel when you guys did Saboteur, because it's just loops, and I'm like,
That's okay, it was mostly complaining.
was it always a Henry
We
that
need to
called
blame
Henry?
him.
Was it at some point a different person who called Henry? But then, I don't know.
It's
It's a lot.
Because even though it hasn't happened yet, it's happened.
Yeah, we don't know if we're at the beginning, middle, or end of this paradox.
Well, they even in Once Upon a Time, when it was, what was it, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, went to adult Henry to prove he was the author and just, like, read his mind of, oh yes, that sort of timeline. Only a true author could have that convoluted of a timeline. Like, I don't remember his exact wording, but he made a jab at the timelines in the show. Like, yeah, these were stupid. And they are so hard to follow of when things actually happen. They, like, burned themselves in their script writing, which was brilliant.
If you do a small enough amount of that, I can appreciate it, because it's a nice apology to the audience. Like, sorry guys.
It's an apology.
The twisted and
they acknowledge, they acknowledge.
Do you forgive them?
Also, let us not forget that rugged old apprentice is Mickey Mouse. That is fact. He's the sorcerer's apprentice. That, like, rugged guy that uses the sword and
how do we know it's not the guy with the Disney spelled backwards?
No, that's
who he's the apprentice.
Yeah, Jensen is the sorcerer.
Yeah.
He's the one who owns all the mansions.
I agree with Micah on this one.
Yeah.
So the sorcerer's apprentice that he talks to in the Wish Realm, who also originally gave him his pen, is Mickey Mouse in human form.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
Because also
I think all of us thought that.
I thought that.
In the original
I
plot
didn't want to
line,
think about it too hard.
I don't remember who the villain was when we first met the apprentice and learned all the author stuff, but when they did like a spell on him, he turned into
Wasn't
a
it
mouse.
King Arthur? Wasn't it in the...
Yeah, it was.
I think it was
King
Arthur.
Because Merlin was
Merlin.
Yeah.
We were
Also, ever since Camelot, you have mentioned Merlin at least
every time.
Track down the actor, see what he's doing now, and watch that.
I also have to go back to Micah saying, you have your things.
Yeah, that's Mickey Mouse. Just wanted to put that out there. Happy 90th birthday, Mickey. We love you.
Happy birthday!
Give us money.
Give us money. Hashtag give us money.
Hashtag just bring it back and do it right.
Honestly,
That's
at this
also
point,
for.
I would want them to try a contained one season and another Wonderland type deal with no returning characters. See if they can provide us with something fresh, something that we like, something that is new, then maybe bring in one or two people from the original plotline. I definitely don't need to see the OG crew of Storybrooke ever again.
The
like, cameo's cool, but I'm not, like, unless, Kylie, you mentioned in a private conversation about, that sounds weird. An off-podcast conversation that, like, we could pick it up later with young Neil and baby Hope. And Once Upon a Time, the next generation.
I mean, you all ranted about, you got all spicy with me about Degrassi, the next generation in the last episode, so I just thought this seems to be the very obvious choice for the spin-off.
I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there needs to be time.
Yeah.
And I also feel like I don't want them to bring it back and redo it. Like, they're done. Like, they wrapped it up in such a, like, happy ending.
Just like they did at the end of season 6.
Yeah.
All of that. I mean, I just feel like I'm agreeing that I would love the flavor of that show back in some other solid
form. Let's do, like, Once Upon a Time in...
Narnia.
There you go.
They own Narnia.
The only thing I
Do
could
they
think of
own
was
Narnia?
Disney, they
do.
put out
Jeez!
One and
so, like, I would love to see another
Do
show.
they own Middle Earth too?
Not yet.
That's the Disney question. Do they own them? There is no. There's only
Not yet.
Jeez.
To comment on the whole, because some people might find it repetitive with the season 6, season 7. It's like, oh, you wrapped it up, then you wrapped it up again. I view season 6 as the small term wrap up. They wrapped up Storybrooke. They wrapped up those characters.
They wrapped up Emma.
Yeah, that's really what it was. They wrapped up
Yeah.
Emma. But then with season 7, they were wrapping up the
whole
actual main
series.
character of the series, which is Regina. She's the point. She's why it worked.
And Henry.
And Henry as well. And they were wrapping up everything. I think that's what that big pan shot was about. Was about saying you don't need to worry about where's this, how's Aladdin doing. Everyone's in the neighborhood now.
Yeah.
Despite the weird climate implications of that, because Agrabah is a desert.
Including Will Scarlet, Merida, Mulan, Aurora, etc., etc.
I will say what I've said in other podcasts. I think that Once Upon a Time in Wonderland takes place after we see him in the main line once.
So what happened to him in Wonderland, and why is there more than one Wonderland, and why
he had
is
his
there
happy ending
more than
with
one
the Red
Alice?
Queen.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just going back to my original complaint.
very vehement complaint.
It is vehement. Fists. So, now that we have very organically, as someone might say, Emily, now that we have gotten to the actual end of the season and the end of the series, what I'd like you to do for this, because we're going to look back in part 2 of this Goodbye miniseries. Remember how many of you, I know Kristen has, that's not even a question.
Yeah.
How many of you have done the rate, you have, I think, Rate It with Stars business? The star rating scale.
Were we
yeah,
supposed to send that to you?
And the 3 of us did it because we were the first panelists when Kylie was launching CPU.
But even anytime we do a first look episode, we do this star rating scale.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Oh, then
He
maybe I
hasn't
haven't.
because
Yeah.
he's jumped on one, so.
I think I rated it pretty darn high.
Yeah. So essentially, I'm not going to read the rating scale because that's written according to, I'm watching it for the very first time. But you have 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star. 5 stars being, holy smokes, it is the greatest show you've ever watched in the history of television. 1 star, it's not so good. Don't waste your time on it.
Pass, hate
It's
it. Yeah.
bad. And then there are grades in between, and you can use half stars.
Thank you, I was going to say that.
So
But don't be mean and use unmappable fractions like some of our other
3.238.
panelists. That is not okay.
So is it the series overall now that we're rating on the star business?
Or just the
How did they do in the end?
Just the end?
Just the end.
Like,
How was
Just season 7 or season 7B?
Or the series finale?
That changes a lot.
What end in particular are you
Wow, I
talking
didn't
about?
realize there was all these degrees.
so many
There's
ends.
once upon a time.
Of course there's all these degrees.
So essentially, it's do we count Frozen or not?
1 star that will fall.
Okay. How about you rate, you can give it multiple ratings if it's going to change it all this much.
Oh, wow.
Where you can go focus on just the series finale to the half season, to the whole season, to the whole series. Or you can just pick whatever floats your boat at the time.
I can
Go.
start. I'm going to do it in descending star order. Which sounds sad, but it's really not. But I say season finale, counting both parts, I'm assuming. Not just one of the episodes, it's because it was a
Right,
2-part
all
finale.
of it, yeah.
Yeah, that 5. I really, really, really enjoyed, because at that point, there wasn't a lot of, like, loose end story stuff. It was about one specific adventure that they all went on, kind of like in the time that it happened. There wasn't much jumping around. And I think it wrapped up very nicely. I didn't think that they would get me with just calling her the Good Queen, because it's not a beautiful term. It's just kind of like, the Good Queen.
It's
Yup.
the opposite of evil.
Yup.
That's why.
Got me. So,
Yep,
5
I
stars.
tried.
The Good Witch of the North.
Hashtag Kristen
5
Grimes.
Well, now she's the Good Witch of the North. She's got all the.
She's
got
got
all of
They
it.
went so big with that. They were like, if we're gonna do it, we're doing it. She is
They
the
did.
good queen
of
now.
all the realms.
Of all
That's
the
what
Oh my
it's
god! I
like.
mean, you
Yeah.
can't come back from that. Like that is for me. That's the end.
You
Yeah.
are
Good.
in it
The ultimate
forever.
redemption.
Yeah, I did, seriously, and I thought it. Okay, sorry,
So yeah,
it's not my
5
turn,
stars
sorry.
on that one. For the season as a whole, I say 4. Mostly because of all the expectations, negative ones, that it defied, all of the good surprises we had, and despite being the most complicated story writing we'd seen in a while, it was the most neatly done. It was definitely planned, even if we didn't know what was going on at the time. For this season, I think the writers did, which is more important long term. And then for the series as a whole, that's technically an average score, so unfortunately outlier bad scores will bring down the
That was
overall
Frozen for
score.
those who can't understand.
It's
Sorry,
always
cough,
Frozen.
cough. I give it a 3.5. 3 feels too in the middle for me, and I definitely think it's much better than it is not good. But they're honestly, like, season 4 through 6A was tough. That was loyalty program time. That was
We were trudging through
if
those.
I was on this
sure.
panel, I don't know if I would
Yeah.
have gone all the way through that.
Yeah.
Man, was it like the Queens of Darkness was,
Oh no,
Yeah.
let's not.
but still better than Frozen.
There
what's
is
the
nothing
second half
not
of
better than
Frozen?
Frozen.
You know, I actually agree with every single rating that you gave. As I was like thinking about this before you started talking, I was like, overall, the pros and the cons and Frozen and all of these like variables, I would give generally 3.5 because 3 is too low, but 3.5.
But 4 is too high.
4 is
4 is too high.
Yeah.
And then there are seasons that brought it down, like Frozen. But this finale, I would say probably 4.5, 5. I'm not sure if I would give it a 5 because there were some flaws there, but
Because Frozen was in the final montage.
that's not why. But it's more like I veer more towards 5 because again they did tie things up. I thought they went out with what I would consider a bang with the way that they just tied in those final moments, and I do want to see more. Are we judging just season 7 itself?
That's whatever you want.
That's it. That's fine. Yeah. I say 3.5 for all of it, and then the final, not just this half, but the final season, I would say 4.5.
Yep, I'm gonna go next because I agree with everything that Mike and Amy said. Like immediately overall, I would give the show a 3.5 from the season, the original pilot episode to the series finale that aired earlier this year. Solid 3.5 for the exact same reasons. And the
There's
fact
a fraction solid. We've always had this conversation. Okay.
But solid 3.5 because
Okay.
again, 3 is too low, 4 is too high. But they can't let Frozen go. Pun intended.
Nor can we.
No,
Nor
we
shall
can't
we.
either. But not only it was mentioned in like the final 2 episodes when they did a flashback to Henry's graduation and Regina comes home, she's like, oh, that was a wonderful fundraiser to rebuild whatever building it was from that snow monster attack. I'm like, really? You couldn't think of anything else that maybe burnt down a building or destroyed a building if you had to
It's
go back to
Disney,
Frozen?
There are literal titans you could have.
Could it have been like Tafiti, Taka, or
Right.
something?
I
from
would've loved
Moana?
it,
Like,
yeah.
I would have taken a Moana.
Right, but no, it was,
That would have been a good place to insert that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Frozen was everywhere in the finale. Yeah, so 3.5 overall for the series. I would say season 7 as a whole, probably maybe 3.75. Because again, 4 is just because there was that low point right after the mid-season. That was a real.
It was a bit of a dip.
That's where I had to stop watching last night and then pick it up again this morning. But I think the season finale or the series finale, I would definitely give a solid 4 to 4.5. I thought they really
4.25. You already did your 3/4.
but I don't know. Maybe a 4.5. They did the best that they could with where they ended the story overall, and then jumping forward to, thankfully we didn't see Regina cast the curse, but it would have been interesting to see everybody breaking off a piece of their heart and putting it in. That was weird.
That's deep.
Yeah, how Regina's like, instead of crushing the thing I love most, what if everybody who loves me and who I love sacrifices a little piece of their heart so she can make this big heart to crush it? Like, seems a little counterproductive, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm
It
glad.
was like the sleeping spell reversed.
Yeah,
Like, what if
wherever-
we all drink the sleeping?
And then we'll be asleep for like
Well, you'll all
5
be asleep.
minutes.
That's how curses work.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I think where they ended the story at season 7 when they're like, okay, yeah, we got to end this for good now. They did the best that they possibly could have done. And I think the good queen coronation at the end was the strongest choice that they could have done as well.
Yeah, I'm 100% with
Isn't
Kristen.
that where the show started? I don't remember
It
the
is.
pilot
That
episode,
was-
but in that throne room.
That was the
Yep.
opening.
Yeah.
That was like the cold open, and then it was after that, then Emma was Bailbot's person.
Yeah.
Yep. I 100% agree with Kristen. I'm totally with her with the season 7 being more of a 4.7 or like a 3.75. Yep, I'm like, wait, I think, overall 3.5 for the show. It's one of those things where I would recommend a Disney fan to watch it because
There's so many
it's
Easter
so
eggs.
great. Like the way that they kind of tie all the stories in together reminds me a lot of like how Wicked tied like Wizard of Oz into everything. I always tell people you have to power through Frozen.
Yep.
Once you get through Frozen, there's a bit of a lull in there for a minute, but I think season 7 ended really solidly, and I think it made it all worth it watching everything else up until this point, so, yeah.
I'm going to start with the show as a whole. I think it's been a long journey. I'm going to agree with everybody on this panel that Frozen was the worst thing I've ever watched in my whole entire life.
Wow. Hyperbole is there.
Well, I almost stopped watching after Frozen. It was the worst writing that I think I've probably seen in a really long time. So with that being said, I would give the whole show a 3.5. And the only reason why I'd give it a 3.5 is because they never were like, when the writing was bad, the writing was super, super bad. When the writing was good, it was just so good that you couldn't watch it. So it doesn't exactly deserve 4, but it doesn't deserve 3, like we've all said. As far as the series finale, I have to give it a 2.
Whoa.
Wow.
Spicy. That's
Why you
lower
gotta
than
be
I
difficult?
I feel like they made even when you're watching it, I didn't like how they brought the queen in to be coronated. I didn't like the fact that she was surprised. That's not her. She doesn't like surprises. You don't surprise the queen.
But she's not the same queen that we started with.
Mm-hmm. Right. But she's still the same person. And she still has the same personality. It just happens to be a good personality. I do think the concept of her becoming the good queen and ruling all the realms, I think that's great. But I really wish the lead up to it wasn't like, oh crap, gotta end this thing, let's go, and we're gonna give you a new crown. I did love the fact that the Charmings were there, but I really wish it would have been more organic, that she would have already been doing what she was doing, and then the Charmings were like, we really should just have you do this. I really wish it would have been more organic.
I don't know. I miss something? It didn't feel like it was a complete surprise.
No.
To me.
She was just wondering, she's like, what are you doing?
There was a bit of a time jump, too.
There was.
Because Baby Hope Emma was pregnant at the start.
Right.
And had the baby.
Right.
And the baby was old enough. Yeah.
They were carrying her, yeah.
Right, but
I guess it could have been me. I felt like she was more surprised than anything. That's the
I'm probably taking it really personally, too, because it's Regina.
I feel like she was more touched than surprised.
Yeah,
I feel like she was just very, like, honored.
That's the way
more
I
caught off guard rather than surprised
Yeah.
that it would ever really happen.
So you're going to be shocked how I feel about this whole season, though. I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to give it a 4 is because it's not Frozen. And
Only because
I mean,
only because it's
low threshold.
but the reason
the
is
lowest
because
threshold.
I think this is the first season that I personally have watched where they've introduced new characters and they haven't just thrown them under the bus. I mean, one of my favorite characters was Sabine this season. I fell in love with her. She could have had a spin-off and I would totally be watching it.
Yeah.
But I feel like they didn't cut her out of it and she wasn't gone and they didn't dismiss her. And I like that they changed that for this season. I feel like they kind of knew after season 6 that 7 was going to be it. And I think they knew they had to introduce new characters, but they didn't cut them off. And that's the reason why I give them a 4.
So Sabine was definitely necessary from the beginning because while I don't have an overall negative view of Jacinda, she was a little victim-y at the beginning of the series. Like, oh, single motherhood is hard and my stepmother owns everyone.
That's almost how she sounds.
But then Sabine was like, hey, what's up? We're going to make some food. And I was like, okay, I can get behind this.
Yeah.
Up a little bit.
I loved Sabine/Tiana.
Yeah,
I'm
I
glad
loved
I had her because she
Yeah.
did add a little bit of a sass quotient and made Jacinda slightly more lovable on the overall scale
And
because she related to her.
And I love that she wanted to be loved, but she was still like, I can do this on my own. Thank you. Have a great day. Don't need a man to take
because
over me.
that's who Tiana is.
Like,
Right,
help me,
but
but
I
don't
mean-
help me.
but
like,
I also-
help
but I
me.
love-
it's partnership, not.
But I
need
love
you to
how
lead
they
me.
like still kept true with that with her, that she was a very strong character and she stayed true to her roots.
They needed to, because
Yeah.
if they wouldn't have, they would have had a bunch of people up in arms. Me included.
Yeah.
You don't mistreat a princess that way.
I also kind of think that's what plays into what you perceive. I'm not saying perceive as in it's not true, but just your opinion of Regina's reaction being surprised. I think she wasn't necessarily surprised that she was being assigned a leadership position. She might have just thought like, oh, they're going to have me be the mayor of Storybrooke again because that's what I used to do. She even did that for a while she was good. Snow took over for a little bit. I don't think that maybe she knew how good she had become. I don't think that maybe she thought she deserved to be, because all of these people were victims of her tyranny. They're all people, and she would fully understand that even after all I've done, you still might hate me, and like I get that. So I definitely don't think she was expecting them to literally hand over all of their well-being to her and say, we trust you.
With the ultimate endorsement being from Snow White, her declared archenemy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think her surprise was more in the number of people and the people themselves that were there. I think that was more of what her surprise was that she, like you were saying, was that she made enemies with literally everyone in all of the realms and all of the places, and yet here they all are standing there supporting her and helping
I don't think
bring
it's what
her
she
in
got.
to be.
I don't think it's what she got and like how, like, everybody that was in there that I thought that she was surprised about. I think it was just the lead up to it. I felt like it was just so rushed.
I think it was more of a surprise to you.
That it literally seemed the way they filmed it was that it was like they were all running late to it. You just didn't kind of like that vibe.
I guess. Like, I mean, I felt like, I don't know.
I guess it could have kind of seemed like they'd showed up at her house and like, put this gown on. She's like, what? It's like, just do it. That kind of was the feel. But I mean, that's something that they might do.
I guess.
But yeah, no, I think it played well. I also want to point out, well, it was pointed out to me in a recap video, but when Emma and Hook rush in late as usual and wearing a leather jacket over her dress.
Red leather.
Yeah.
Hey, she's never done anything good.
No, because that's her trademark.
I loved it.
Hook had a little
Has
red rubber
square.
stuff around it.
I did not notice that until the recap, and I started dying because I was watching the recap at work today, and I had to rewind it, and I was giggling so much. I was like, "That's so precious."
I'm glad they thought of baby safety.
Yeah. I'm still a captain, but I'm a
can you just
safe.
imagine Emma like with it's almost like a red clown nose, like she goes up and she's like, "We need to do this." I don't know. I can just imagine his reaction, like holding it up, like
I'm not gonna. What? Come on!
and then
Hand over here.
It's so bad.
Like, take it off.
Yeah.
So my ratings, I agree with the 3.5 stars for the overall. That 3.5 stars is where I would land pretty solidly, actually. It's something where I would have liked some of it, didn't like some of it. Frozen has been called out at least 17 times, and probably will be called out 17 more in our last episode. I agree. I think it's better than a 3, not quite as good as a 4. There were glaring flaws, but there were highly enjoyable bits that, even despite the podcast, kept us watching and kept us engaged and kept us interested. As for the 7th season, I'd probably be 3.5 as well. Same logic applies. There were things that I liked, things that I didn't like, maybe more engaged than I expected to be, but not as engaged as I personally would have wanted to be, just because of what I said at the very top of this recording. As for the finale, I think I'm at a 4.5. I thought they had a really tall feat to sort of match or surpass the season 6 finale, which was pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
This, I thought, was also pretty damn solid, but with the bow tie that meant the most to me, which was Rumpelstiltskin's end.
It was also pretty gutsy because didn't they not even reveal that Wish Rumple was back and in action until the episode before the 2-part finale?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's like they were like, "All right, we're done.
Here's our final
new plot point." You're like, "There's no way. There's no way. They are incapable of doing this." And then they did.
But dearie.
And they tied it in so well with coming back to season 1, where the prophecy of the boy will be my undoing, and tying in everything from original Rumple. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's nice to see Robert Carlyle back in the scales.
Me
man.
too. I'm so glad they did that one more time for us.
Yep.
'Cause I loved him in that role. He was so deliciously creepy. And
I also really liked Detective Weaver a lot more than Mr. Gold.
I
Mr.
did.
Gold
I did
was always
too.
kind of boring for me.
I did too.
Yeah.
And actually, I really liked Ronnie.
I loved Ronnie.
Yeah. I'm so glad they gave her something more to play with.
Yes, less pencil skirts and blazers, as I said the last
And
time.
like you said, much more comfortable.
Much more comfortable. Really good fashion sense. Really loved her whole outfit.
I kind of wish that they would have had Rumple and Rogers be in different, like not right directly, literally in the same department. I liked as I've said, in pretty much any time Hook does anything with one other character, I'm like, buddy cop movie, let's do it. Great.
But this was literally a buddy cop thing.
Yeah, maybe like having him be an EMT, so still close, but
but not.
Or like from
Pilots kill people, EMTs save lives.
I would have liked
nurse
it
now.
had it been like a neighboring community, and they have to like partner up because of all the destruction.
But somebody dies right on the county line.
Yeah.
Both their departments are called in.
Yeah.
So, judge which one is it going to? It's
But
going
then
to
they
both
would
of
need
you.
more than one magical neighborhood.
Hyperion Low? That's where the Frozen characters got taken. Hyperion Low.
We don't talk about that neighborhood.
It's always cold there. It's annoying.
No, that's the
Is there anything else you wish to say about season 7B of Once Upon a Time?
No.
I don't think there is more.
I'm emotionally
Drained.
good with what I have said. I have cried enough in 24 hours.
Yeah.
I will
No
save the
tears
rest
left
of
to
that for
cry.
the looking back overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. I guess if that's how you feel, what I'm going to do right now is thank Amy, Micah, Eddie, Kristen, and Emily for joining me once more.
Oh my gosh!
And we thank you, Kylie.
Well, thank you. But don't thank me yet, because there's still one more thing in this series, and before we get to that one more thing in this series, I have to do this. CPU was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, and hails from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, would you take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play? Give us stars, comments, reviews. Talk to us at our Facebook, our Twitter, our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com. If you have suggestions on shows we might consider, email us at our couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com email address. Of course, we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We have several more new episodes coming down the pike, as I've talked about in the introduction. And as always, if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, we're everywhere. Google us, because we're that easy to find. We're easy, people. Okay, subscribe at our social media, our channels, and our website. Stay up on our new events and episodes, and we've got several cool ones coming down the pike. Not that I want to tease it too much, but it's coming. Until the next time, all of Once Upon a Time is now available to stream at Netflix, the unofficial non-sponsor of the podcast. Never fear, our Once panel is not quite done, as we will next reconvene for the second part of this two-part miniseries in which we say goodbye to our long-running fantasy yarn with a high-level look back at the whole darn show. So until next time, until next episode, new episodes published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned.